should do proper investigation and charge the people accordingly instead of allowing them to die in detention.
Okay, let's look at, we're told what led to this was the fact that the army did come into the community for a peaceful resolution. It meant they were, initially we were told two communities were having a fight and the military came in. With this recent continuous death of the elderly people from Okwama, do you think it's deliberate, and the fact that it's the elderly that are dying and are still in custody rather than the youth who were said to have perpetrated this crime?
You know, the fact remains that if you're a leader of a community, both the bad, the good, and the uglies are your subject. So if anything happens, you must be called to question. And the fact is that what is happening there is all about this oil theft we are talking about. The cabals, they are the ones that are involved in all these things that is leading to killings in that community. So for the issue to continue, for me, I see it as a barbaric issue. They should try as much as possible to resolve the issue and let those that does not have a hand in what is going on, because there is a show of power. At that particular time, you see that there is a show of power. Some persons believe that they have the backup of the federal government, or they know more of the military men that they can use to oppress the opponent in the business. You know this business of oil theft is a cabal. That is an organized crime in Nigeria, whereby everybody gets his own share.
Sure.
So that is the issue. And when one is not satisfied, there must be problems. But if government can put a very strict measure of monitoring all these things, I don't think these things will come on board.
Okay, we know that this happened in March, and there was a killing of 17, March 14th, there was killing of 17 soldiers, and this was between Okwama and Okoloba community. Are the people of Okwama worried, and also the Soko and other adjoining communities worried that the Okoloba people seem not affected so far with all this is playing out? It seems like the Okwama people are the center of the storm right now.
Yes, it's always like that when the issue happens in your domain. You understand? So, like, I have to actually.
But if there was investigation, the investigation shouldn't be both ways, because it was initially said that both communities were having a fight and the military was coming in. We're not even looking at the fact that okay, maybe it was all that interest that made the military come in. Let's assume it was the fight between these two communities. How come the investigation has not gotten to arrest anybody from the Okoloba side of the divide?
Like what I told you, it's all about
power play.
Power play.
So the Okoloba people have more.
No, now first of all, we condemn the killing of our military.
Obviously.
Nobody is happy
about it. Yes.
Barbaric. But if you look at the situation surrounding the killings, you still have some questions to ask.
Like,
at what point did these people got there, and what was their information? Are they policemen that were supposed to go for investigation or for peace talk?
So and not arming themselves also.
I mean, what was their mission? And from the information we gather, though there are some of them are speculation that the Okwama people, they were already aware that the military people are coming to invade the place. That was why they were prepared for them. And for the fact that fighting the federal government in that other angle, I think that is what the Okwama leaders are facing today. But generally, we know that the issue is supposed to have gone beyond this, and bringing those people that cause when you look at issues, you go to the root. Because if you start solving it at the periphery, you will not get the details, and the thing will continue. But if you begin to dig out those that are involved from the beginning, then solution will start coming.
Okay, now we know that a lot of people fled after the military came in. Do you think what is the Okwama people saying now, the way it's going, and the Niger Delta people, including the Sokos, what is their take as regards this? What will be the call now?
For me, and the way they will always look at it, they will see it as an oppression by the military, because without being told, it's like a revenge that those of their leaders, because no matter what, some leaders may have some
followers
information before certain things may happen. So it's like a revenge. Maybe during the power tussle, the leader of the community, maybe they didn't support you or in one way or the other, when such a thing now happen, they will use it as a revenge. So it's on my opinion that the oppression should start. Let them look at the main issue and table it from there.
Okay, now, information reaching us tells us that the Okuma people, their youth and women, are protesting now. They've given the federal government and the military 7-day ultimatum to the ultimatum given by the Okuma people as regards the recent death now. Do you see this ultimatum being another trigger for more crisis? All right, so let's go for a quick break. All right, we're deeply sorry for that quick breaking stop of the program. Let's continue our discussions. Let's look at the fact that I was asking the question. Now there's an ultimatum by the Okuma people, the women and youth, protesting the second death of their leader and giving the federal government and the military 7-day ultimatum to change what's happening, to stop the invasion, to release all detained members of that community. Do you see this as another trigger that might cause another violence between the Okuma people, the Nigerian army, and what best can be done at this moment, at this time?
Yes, there is a problem coming up, because if there is an issue and you lost a dear one, the way your reaction will look will not be the same. And there are when you are oppressed to a certain extent, you will even be ready to die, irrespective of what the consequence may be. So that is why I will keep begging the federal government to act fast.
Okay, we've got the amnesty program. What role? I thought the presidential amnesty, one of their roles is to ensure the peace within the Niger Delta region. What would be the call on amnesty, the office? Shouldn't they be playing a role at this time to quell this crisis?
Yes, they're supposed to be playing a role, but for now, I don't really know their role or what extent they have gone in the issue. They cannot just sit and fold their hand. Maybe they might be contacting some political leaders and all that and see how they can douse the tension. But what we are after is that let there be peace, because there must be an apprehension in that community as we speak now.
All right, very disturbing. All right, as we wrap up, let's look at the issue of OPADEC and some other agencies, the NDDC and others who are meant to bring infrastructure and development to these communities, and also the issue of the former governor of Delta State, Okowa, and the fact that ICA, North, South, and other, when it comes to state allocations, they seem to get more allocation than the Isoko communities and other communities who really produce this oil. What's playing out here?
Mr. Anthony, there is a very worrying issue in Delta State. Like, my humble self is from Isoko, and Isoko is one of the oil producing community. We are the highest oil producing community in Delta State, and the OPADEC is set up to develop this oil producing community. And if you look at it, the 13% derivation from the federal government is what they use to run the OPADEC. Now, Okowa, before he left government, he brought in the ICA people into the OPADEC through the back door, because as far as I'm concerned, ICA does not produce oil in Delta State, but ICA, as we speak now, are member of the OPADEC. We don't know where they have their oil. I don't know where they are producing oil of commercial quantity from ICA local government. Then the most worrying part of it is that if you look at the 2023 budget that we just saw, you discover that 4% of that budget is the only thing that Isoko with the highest oil production got. And that 4% is 230 million naira. And Ika, that does not have a drop of oil in their community, got 200 million. Then Ndokwa got...
Are they not the same amount you've mentioned? 200 million, 200
no,
million,
we have
or 200 billion? Or
like the Isoko got 230 million,
okay,
which is 4% of the Sopadek budget.
Okay.
Now, the Ika have 200 million.
Okay.
It's also 4%. Then, the Ndokwa,
yes.
Yes, the Ndokwa.
All these are Igbo-speaking communities.
Igbo-speaking communities.
Yes.
The Ndokwa got 500 million. 500 million. Then the Jaws, they got 350 million. Then the Urobo, which is the central, where the governor is from, got over 3-point-something billion.
Can you substantiate these claims? You have evidence for all these claims?
It's all over the social media, it's everywhere, and there are evidence that this is what they got. So our question with the Isoko people, our question now is that what percentage or what index or what ratio
did they
use in sharing this thing? Like my own local government did not even get a single project. We have 2 local governments from the Isoko South and the Isoko North. My own local government, Isoko South, did not get any project. Then the Isoko North, they got just 3 projects. One is the fencing of health center in the Iyede, that is the community of the wife of the SLSC.
Okay, so it's based on who you have in government.
So now, when we talk about dividends of
democracy,
what you
produce,
what you give, are we supposed to be begging for our rights? And my concern is that our leaders from the Isoko, we have the House of Assembly members, we have political appointees. Nobody is saying anything. Can we remain like this? The question is no.
All right, very touching discovery there, and we're talking Niger Delta issues there, and that's how much we're going to, just as we wrap up our discussions, just a quick one, what will be your final take as regards the fact that these lawmakers, those in power, the elite are not speaking? Is it because they've gotten their own share of the goodies?
Yes, if you ask me, that is the basic fact. They are going there to play loyalty to the governor, forgetting what took them there. They are there to represent us. They are there to cry for the pains we're having, and tell the governor face to face, because it's our mandate that sent them there, not the governor. You can't go there and be playing loyalty to the governor when your people are suffering. I begin to wonder, in the Desopadek, we have a representative which represented the Isoko nation in the Desopadek, Honorable Victor Egbo. Then we also have a director in that place.
All right.
So what are they doing until all these things happen? Does it mean that there was no management meeting where the issues were discussed before rolling out budget and projects?
Okay, a final one on Ukwama as we wrap up. Do you think Governor Sheriff is being scared to speak truth to power? Because the military seem to be having their way even in his own state.
I don't think Governor Sheriff is scared of the military.
But then why is he not speaking out to what the community people are crying for?
You know, most times everything must not be on the media. You can be doing some work on the ground to bring peace, while the media will be silent.
And we are having second death of the leader in 48 hours.
But I will also use this opportunity
days
to call on Governor Sheriff Oboroweri to put his house in order and find solution to what is happening in the state, because a threat to peace, a threat to peace anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere in the world. It might start very small in that place, but when it escalates, we don't know where it can get to.
All right, that's the final words of Honorable Oride Batlomi, who is the governor of the Isoko Development Youth Union, the youth wing of that group, joining us on the desk. We'll go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be talking with the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360 as we look at the global issues of Assad and other talking points after this break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. It's now time for us to go foreign as after dealing with the recent second death in the last 5-6 days of one of the leaders of the Nkrumah community after the March 14 killing of 17 Nigerian soldiers due to the conflict between two communities in the Niger Delta. All right, we've got joining us via Zoom the reviewed Nigeria 360 Global President in the person of Model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom. Thank you, Jeffrey Abidoye, for joining us on the desk.
For having me, Anthony. Good evening.
All right, let's begin our conversation from the Middle East, where the armed opposition in Syria has announced the capture of the country's capital, Damascus, and the overthrow of President Bashar al-Assad. As of Sunday morning, Assad's whereabouts were uncertain, but the opposition says he has fled to fled out of the country, and reports reaching us later on says he is in Russia. Let's look at just in the last 24 hours, we've heard about over 100+ shelling of Syria by Israel. How do you see this changing the equation of the peace that has been sought for in the Middle East?
Well, thank you so much. Like I always say, every empire has an expiry date. I know for sure that no matter how long a bad system prevails, definitely it will collapse someday unannounced. And that's exactly what you have seen in Syria on Sunday morning. Syria, by architectural design, is one of the finest, particularly Damascus. It's one of the finest, where you have one of the finest architectural design of the old and recent time. But because of this prolonged 13 years civil war that was avoidable under a responsive and sensitive leader that is driven by the fear of God and then the concern for humanity, is avoidable. But unfortunately, the place was turned completely upside down because Iran was hibernating, was supporting to fuel the crisis in that place for one or two obvious reasons. As if that is not enough, the Russian government under Putin is superintending and coordinating and, supporting them with arms, ammunition, and what have you, and so many other things and all that, which ordinarily is not supposed to be. But unfortunately, some of the Middle East, Gulf countries or states too, rather than taking very firm, assertive, bold and courageous decision, not supporting and then calling a spade and not fork. You discover that some of them were hobnobbing. At a point, al-Assad was ostracized. It was removed completely from, the scene under the Gulf, situation in Middle East. But after a while, I think about 2 years ago, after he won an election for another 7 years, he was welcomed back, into the scene. And so the question you should ask is, why is it that this war, civil war and insurgency and absence of peace is prevalent more in the Middle East? These are questions that we didn't begin to ask. And then, however, we all know, the whole world know, the Middle East, Gulf states, they all are aware that the major problem in that Middle East is Iran, that is supporting all this militancy, insurgency, and a lot of crises, try to test, the power of the ammunition and so many other things and all that. But like I said, little did Assad know that it will come to this end. But the most unfortunate aspect of it is that several millions of Syrians have been thrown into, vagrant, street urchins and beggars and, across European country and what have you, and the neighboring country. As if that is not enough, quite a number of several thousands, have been killed under questionable, circumstances, people that were railroaded as fueling, terrorism, people that were arrested unjustly because they were protesting and then they were handed down and they were killed. It was on Monday when, that group came together to chase al-Assad away. And then they now set a lot of prisoners free, and then with a comprehensive coverage by Al Jazeera. So the underground dungeons, so many of those departments, in the prison yards and so many other and all that, that we begin to see the level, the pitiable level of the trauma, the human life have been subjected to under al-Assad for that, 13-year civil war in Syria, and all that. It's quite unfortunate.
We know that the Arab League summit did suspend Assad and Syria from the Arab League. Now, how key is the role for the Arab League to play to ensure that peace, as soon as possible, a new government can be formed in Syria so that Syria can now find peace? How key is that for the Arab League?
Well, shortly after that, from that Monday, you were equally aware that there was this, Doha Forum that were taking place right there, and then discussion across board. The foreign minister of Russia, all of them were being interviewed. They were speaking to the situation. The Qatar government has pledged support, absolutely, not only morally, materially, and monetarily. The United States of America too said they are ready to support them in a lot of ways, so quite a number of countries are pledged. One European country that actually stood out, that stood through thick and thin with a Syrian government under this 13-long, avoidable human carnage was Germany under Angela Merkel, who actually took almost 1 million refugees, from Syria, that today very many of them are citizens in Germany and all that. They will be getting support. So even Germans too, and the German government has pledged support. So quite a number of those states and countries are pledging their support. And good thing, it's often said that misfortune makes strange bedfellow. Hard time make different people come together. You could say that, the insurgent group, the militant group, were in various camps and various, sections, and then the north, the south, and then of the country. But a substantial number of them, except the one in the northern part that were being backed by Turkey government, and some of those that were being backed by Russia, the likely 80% of them came together to 4-day battle to say, well, let us all come together. What we are fighting for is that this man must go. And that's exactly what happened. That even at that point, the Syrian army have lost faith because a lot of them have not been paid. And that was why, they all left, and then it becomes, an easy ride, for the armed group, the opposition group, to be able to have a ride and push al-Assad away from that country. So shortly after that, we can see that they have been organized themselves. There has been peace because we have followed the situation through comprehensive coverage of Al Jazeera. Since that Sunday, as of today, they have appointed a fresh, prime minister, as well as the transition, head, to form a government of national unity and all that. So, from all indication, the Syrian people, the Syrian citizens, both home and abroad, are very happy. This is the hour, this is the moment they have been praying for, and all that. So they are all coming together to ensure that there is unity, to ensure that at least they form, a national government that is broad-based, that will begin to put their pieces together, that will begin to ensure that, peace return, there's unity again, and then before they begin to talk, about maybe conducting an election that will bring in a new government. And I know as we go on, a lot of things will happen. The tendency and the need, maybe even for the constitution, to be reviewed and a lot of things to change, cannot be overemphasized. But,
all right.
As it stands, I know for sure that peace is gradually returning to Syria.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move to the next talking point. We've got the UN Embassy issuing fresh directives. Has urged a visa applicant with interviews scheduled after January 1st, 2025 to make at least 2 visits to the Consulate General in Lagos as part of their immigration visa process. The U.S. Embassy announced this directive in a post on its X handle. According to the information, the embassy's website, the first visit will include an in-person document review with a consular officer. The embassy stated that these changes are intended to improve efficiency and minimize delays caused by incomplete documentation. Do you see it from this perspective? And especially within, also knowing that the Northern Bloc had accused this current government of channeling everything from Abuja, moving it down to Lagos. Do you see this move as something controversial? Why make 2 trips to Lagos before you can get the immigration visa, approved, when Abuja is the center of Nigeria's, unity, the capital of Nigeria?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Without sounding, parochial, without sounding too prejudicial, without sounding emotional and sentimental, it is a critical issue that should not, be looking at from the point of say, oh, why moving the national headquarters to Lagos? No,
Lagos, when the capital of Nigeria is Abuja, would Nigeria change the direction of a consulate in the US? Would Nigeria have that kind of power to do that?
Second issue.
Is that not
the main
something amiss? The fact that you leave the capital of the country and move it to another state, rather than where the capital is. It's just simple logic. It's not about emotions. It's about reality.
When you ask a question, let us give you an answer to it. All right? We should not be sentimental. When I talk objectively.
It's reality.
I am talking as a Nigerian who love this country. People begin to trivialize critical issues. What we should be looking at is not about whether the visa is issued in Lagos or wherever it's issued. It doesn't matter to me. You know that United States of America Embassy runs parallel, simultaneously, both in Lagos and as well as Abuja. So wherever they issue their visa is not an issue. The government of Nigeria does not have a hand in that. What we should be looking at is why will we allow our citizens to now become robots in the hands of foreign government? Why should we allow Nigerian citizens to become beggars in front of embassies of the United States of America? What is in America that Nigerians are looking for that turn them to beggars in their embassies and all that? It is an insult of the highest order. What would America have? Are we cheat holes? These are issues that we should all join hands to address. Why? What are they looking for in America? It's just because when you look at it statistically, America made billions of naira from our people. For instance, these people they want to give visa to in January, maybe 100 of them or 200 of them have been given appointment. They know that out of that 200, only 10 will be given or granted visa. They will collect money in dollars to change it now to dollars to pay to American embassy, consular session. Okay, they know that out of that 200, they are giving visa to only 10, and they will collect money. They call it non-refundable fee. This is a slap on our personality as a citizen, as a country, as an independent country. These are issues we should be looking at, whether you are from the north or you are from the south. What are Nigerians? What are they looking for? Can't we stay in this country and build our own country? These are things that the government should stand up to, call the bluff of American, government to say nonsense. We must stop it. All right? For instance, if you know that you are not going to grant visa to anybody, don't collect money.
True.
They allow people to pay only when you have issued or approved visa for them. But you give appointment to 200 or 250 every week, every month, and you know that out of that 200 you are only giving to 10, and you collect dollars for them. You ask them to go and change the money from naira to dollar with the exchange rate now that is in the realm of about 1,700, now coming down to about 1,600 or thereabout. That is huge. They collect that from Nigerians, and our government is not talking about that. The northern people are not talking about that. They are living substance and they are chasing shadow. That is exactly what I'm saying. What are Nigerians looking for in America that we don't have in this country? These are questions we should be asking ourselves. That's the issue. I'm not talking about whether they issue visa in Lagos or issue. If anybody want to issue visa, want to get, let him go.
Distance Nigerians have to travel now.
Should they travel the distance? What are they looking for in the first place? That's my question. These are points that the government of the state should be talking about. These are points that the governors across the state should all come together under Nigerian Governor Forum to speak for the citizens of this country. People are being exploited. They call us shitholes. They call us all kind of name in this country. And we run to the embassy to go and beg for visa. And you get there, they collect all your document, go and bring this, go and bring that. Even when they issue you the visa, it is written on the visa that the fact that you are granted visa here is not an automatic ticket that you enter America. You can get there, right there at the airport, they will not even allow you to go inside, and then they return you back to your country. And nobody is doing anything about that. Our government is keeping silent. The governors are keeping silent. The senators are keeping silent. The president is keeping silent on this matter. These are the issues. So when you medias are talking, don't chase shadow and leave substance. These are issues we should be looking at, and not where they issue their visa. We should call their bluff. The same America, in case you don't know, have said over and over again okay, that Nigeria has manifested all signs of a failed state and that
True.
we're at a stage of breaking. Are you with me? The same America is building their biggest embassy in the world today in the same Nigeria. These are issues which we are addressing point blank and not talking about sentiment, all those kind of things that are not tenable.
All right, let's quickly, time not our friend, as we wrap up. 2027 polls, we've got Professor Jinadu speaking. The nation's political elite has started the process of rigging the 2027 general elections. Professor Adele Jinadu has said, delivering his keynote address at the Policy Dialogue on the State of Anti-Corruption Policy and Practice in Nigeria in Abuja. The professor of political science said known party members were being appointed as commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission. In his words, they have started the process of rigging the next general election through the appointment of known party members next year. Many commissioners will be due for reappointment. They will use the power of appointment to put those who will do their bidding. Are you worried with such statements, and do you see this playing out?
Well, these have been the trend from 1999, 2000, 2001, Obasanjo days to the present day. Right? It is the party card carrying member of political parties in government, even at the state level, that have been appointed to hold or to elsewhere or held very strategic agency like, Independent State Electoral Commission and the Independent National Electoral Commission. It shouldn't be. These are issues that critical stakeholders should be talking about. These are areas that the National Assembly, but because they benefit from it, okay, and all that, they shy away from it, they don't talk about it. Those who must conduct our election must be independent. They must be selected by maybe a consortium of professionals and experts, all right, across board, from judiciary, from engineering, from, public political science, and so many other things. People that are experts, that will not compromise. Those are people that ordinarily other states, maybe other ministry department agencies can be given, in the name of patronage, to party card carry member who work during election, pre-election and post-election and all that. But a sensitive and a strategic institution like INEC should not be paid or toy with, given to politicians. Of course, giving it to them, what do you expect them to do? They will only go there to begin to work and to ensure that their party win the next coming election or something of that nature. So it is something that we must all come together to debate, to discuss, because this present administration is trying to do a lot of reform and repositioning. We should join hands to now begin to, at our level, discuss this and then see how we can jointly and severally sponsor a bill, a private bill, that will be put together by critical stakeholders to say no. Henceforth, those, maybe from this point, those whose tenure will expire any moment from now, maybe by January, should no longer be card carrying member. They should be men and women of integrity. They should be professional. They should be technocrats in their own right, who will have a needle that has a thread upon, it's around his waist and all that kind of something. They should be men of integrity, of impeccable character that will not compromise, that will not wink under whatever situation, that will, in line with the name, Independent National Electoral Commission, will represent the people, will represent their professional organization, and will do and ensure that our elections are conducted in the most fairest, the most credible, manner and format. This is what we should be talking about. So for me, if we are witnessing this from Obasanjo days till up to this present one, this should not, pass or, go beyond this present administration. Nigeria should rise up. Critical stakeholders should rise up to say no. As from January next year, those who will conduct 2027 election, irrespective of whatever, should no longer be card carrying member of any political party.
All right, thank you
we
very
all
much.
must join hands in the corporate interest of Nigeria. We saw what happened in Ghana just over the weekend. Our own Independent National Electoral Commission chairman said they were the one that went to train them. Of course, people jubilate, they say Ghana, this and that. No, we can't compare the size of Ghana to Nigeria. The size of Ghana is just like Lagos. You get what I'm saying? But the point I'm making in essence is if they can conduct credible election, as far as that is concerned, there's nothing stop us from doing same. We have credible Nigeria that can stand, but giving it to party members, card carrying members, you can't expect anything better.
All right,
so
thank you.
We must all rise to be able to see how we can work in that direction.
All right, just to wrap it up, one big story here is the fact that the World Bank and other stakeholders have urged the government of Nigeria to fight institutional corruption, as it is the only guarantee to sustainable growth and development. I will be talking about this issue hopefully tomorrow on the desk. I want to say a big thank you to Rebuild Nigeria 360 Global President, in the person of Model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye. Always a pleasure having you in the studios, and thank you for your very fiery and patriotic stance on issues, even when I try to break you. Thank you for always being part of the show, and we urge you to enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Good evening, good night, Nigeria, and God bless you.
All right, that's how we call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu. I want to say a big thank you to my earlier guest, Honorable Urude Batlomi, who is the governor of the Isoko Development Union Youth Wing, joining us and speaking on the Okwama issue, the second death of one of their leaders after in detention with the Nigerian army after the March 14 killing of 17 Nigerian soldiers. We will keep our fingers crossed and be watching the development from Delta State keenly and giving you updates on the desk. Good night.